The idea for, 12 or 10, right, would be every major conference, if you will, gets an automatic bid. Thus, the conference championship games would not be neutered, right? So everybody would still have a conference championship game where the winner of that game gets an automatic bid, and the regular season play would potentially get somebody an at-large bid if a committee gets into a room and figures out who if it's 10 teams or 12 teams, you could figure out who gets a bye, and then if it's 12, if it's 10, if it's 12, you just put them all in a hopper, 1 versus 12, and go with what? What would be the split of at-large versus automatic bids and things like that, Pete?
So the presumption now is that you go 6 automatic, 6 at-large.
And who gets the automatic?
Get a bye. You go home site. I guess it would be. I went to Syracuse, so I'm not good at math, Rich. 5 plays 12, and then you just kind of divvy it up. 5 hosts 12, I guess you could say, and then you divvy it up. You divvy it up that way.
Okay. Who would get the automatic bids? So it
would be the Power 5, and then 1 from the rest of the crew. The AAC certainly, performance-wise, has justified that they would probably be the leader in the clubhouse to get that every year. It would be intriguing it would be fun, quite frankly, and this is probably not based in reality, if the Cincinnati could play Boise instead of Cincinnati playing, UCF or Tulane or whoever in the AAC title game. One interesting byproduct of this that I don't think gets enough attention is that it also juices up. All these leagues are about to go to market in the next 4 or 5 years, and this makes the conference championships games more compelling because they are playing games. Now, I mean, there have been some Pac-12 title games that have rated about as well as these C-SPAN hearings are rating because they didn't really have any meaning because they knew the Pac-12 wasn't going to have a champion in the playoff. Well, if you've got an Oregon team that's on a late run, or a Utah team, or a USC team, or whoever, that game inherently is going to have more meaning because you are going to be an entrant into the playoff. Certainly that the sanctity of the regular season, we heard ad nauseum for decades, was going to be the reason why we couldn't have a playoff. But in reality, when you go to this size, the regular season race still has a whole lot of meaning, and the conference title games collectively have more meaning.
What are the odds, Pete Thamel, that we could actually utilize this to go, back end of the season on down to the beginning of a season and deal with scheduling and the fact that, there's a warm up for the Iron Bowl game that Alabama plays, or who's scheduled non-conference before a conference season begins, where you get fewer conference games, maybe more uniform non-conference games amongst the Power 5, and then you could maybe even reduce the number of games played before a playoff in a conference schedule and a non-conference schedule. A regular season schedule gets truncated in a way to actually get some uniformity here and some sanity and some understanding for fans to know what to expect out of everybody's schedule. What about that idea? Is that totally a total fantasy?
What fun would uniformity and sanity be? I mean, then it would be like not college athletics, right? You have to be completely not based in reality. Well, in theory, the schedule is a problem.
Yeah.
And the schedule is going to have to be adjusted.
Right.
Uniformity, certainly anyone with any common sense has said, well, we should probably get a little bit of uniformity. But there's another counter to that too. It's like, well, the SEC plays 8 conference games, the Pac-12 plays 9. Well, you're going to get your bid from your league title game, so keep playing the way you want to play. I think the schedule, it would be smart to shorten the schedule in some way to allow for these games on the back end. Here's the problem. Money dictates all these decisions,
right?
And we'll hear a lot about health and safety student athletes. We'll hear a lot. But full stadiums and TV inventory dictate major decisions in college athletics. Always have, always will, Rich. And I just have a hard time seeing collectively college athletics say, oh, let's play 11 games because that's just slicing money out. And we rarely see decisions that cost money. We only see decisions that add money. To week 0, our friend week 0, which is sort of the flotsam and jetsam geographic outlier, Illinois versus who is it? Is the big week 0 game, quote unquote, big week 0 game this year? Oh, Illinois, Nebraska. That's probably the best week 0 game on paper this year. And then there's a half dozen other games Hawaii usually plays in it, et cetera. Maybe that now becomes more commonplace. Now, we've had a couple marquee games there over the years. I want to say Florida played Miami last year, but maybe you move things up a little bit. The NFL expanding its schedule doesn't help the calculus for college athletics because now you're running up against Week 17. The wild card weekend, there's not that many games, so that helped. So, the NFL always looms amid the scheduling decisions here because everyone knows where the eyeballs are going to go. College football is not going to compete with the NFL. It's just not a smart business choice.
So I guess
there are a lot of complexities as the changing the fundamental dynamics of any multi-billion-dollar sporting entity.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.